I have been watching intensely the Boggs nomination hearings, which I believe are still going on. They may have wrapped up. I got to tell you, I think that Michael Boggs will not be getting a vote. We should say, first off, that Senator Leahy, just to give you a Vox-style card on this.
Oh, my God.
So here's the deal. As we spoke about yesterday, Michael Boggs was part of a deal that was struck with the two Republican senators from Georgia. While the Senate did rid themselves of the filibuster when it comes to judicial nominees not for the Supreme Court, there is still a practice, just a tradition, wherein senators from a specific state, where they're looking at the federal judiciary of that state. Depending on the state, there is multiple federal judges who sit on the U.S. District Court in any given state. In Georgia's case, I think there's a northern district, an eastern district, a western, and a southern. I'm not sure. And those senators can withhold their blue slip, which needs to be turned in to go ahead with the nomination process. The White House struck a deal with the two Republican senators from Georgia, wherein they would allow for 3 of their choices, I believe it was, and 2 of the White House choices to go forward.
It's an excellent deal.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
It's really good. It's exactly what we want.
Because, of course, there's a Democratic majority in the Senate, and last I checked, at least, President Barack Obama ran as a Democrat. I think remains a Democrat. And one of those 2 judges was a guy nominated by the president named Michael Boggs, who, in the course of him providing written responses to questions, he had to provide an addendum which outlined those things that while he was in the Georgia State Legislature from 2000 to 2004, he promoted all sorts of regressive legislation. A video yesterday came out where he's talking about activist judges who may seek to overturn Georgia's bigoted anti-marriage equality statutes. And so he wanted to ensconce them in the Constitution. He also voted for, and I believe co-sponsored, legislation that would have put the names of abortion providers online in one easy database. And when he was questioned by Senator Al Franken today, and apparently in the interview they have, like personal interviews beforehand, he claimed that he did not know, and I guess he was asked by another senator as well, I'm not sure who, but he claimed, I saw when Franken asked him, he claimed that he did not know that this could endanger the lives of abortion providers. He claimed that when he was 37 years old and a state legislator from 2000 to 2004, that he was not aware that violence was perpetrated against abortion providers. Presumably he wasn't aware of it in Georgia. Maybe he wasn't aware of it around the entire country. To be more specific, Senator Franken didn't ask him about this, but apparently he was not aware that in 1997, when he was age 34, 3 years out from wanting to be from being a state legislator, maybe prior to that he had some aspirations, one would think he would pick up the newspaper and read that there were 2 bomb explosions set to go off an hour apart, which damaged a suburban abortion clinic and injured 6 people, including investigators and news reporters who were drawn to the first blast. Apparently, he was not aware of that.
He was 34 at the time.
I understand.
I mean,
I
I
understand he was
don't
34.
fully grok the concept that abortion providers are threatened yet. I
Right.
need
Now
to
you've
age
got
a little bit
time.
more.
You're still in your, I think, early 30s.
Right.
So he's sitting there claiming that he had no idea what was behind the putting this list online for whom he refers to his constituency, who were very much, in his words, pro-life. No idea. He also, in that tape that was talked about yesterday, talked about the idea of judicial activism. And in the context of him speaking out against the notion that judicial activists could threaten Georgia's anti-marriage equality laws, he said, particularly in this case, that we don't have many opportunities. So he was asked today, I think it was by Coons, what other situations do you feel, what other things do you feel have been promulgated by activist judges? And he said, well, you know, I've changed my opinion about activist judges.
Would have been great if you just let the modern North, sir. Oh, excuse me. To be candid, I'm going to need to revise what I just said.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of him saying, I've changed my mind in the 10 years that I served on the state judiciary, wherein he did not have to handle any of these cases about abortion, about marriage equality, about women's rights, any of them. He also, apparently, the last thing that I heard, Coons was asking him about donating and promoting other candidates as you are a candidate for the judgeship. Apparently, he was not aware that he was on the steering committee of Democrats for Bush-Cheney reelect in 2004, or 2000, I think it was. He found that out during the course of the hearings. And he says it's possible because I attended a meeting. But that would have been run up afoul of the ethics that one is supposed to practice when you are a candidate for the judiciary in Georgia. So it is unclear at this point how the Democratic senators will vote. But I should say that Patrick Leahy started off the hearing by saying senators on this committee, Democratic senators, are not bound by any deal that the White House made. Now, it's quite possible that we may see some vacancies because the Republicans will, in some way, although they gave back their blue slips. So I'm not sure what they can do other than to vote against any of the Democratic nominees, and maybe there'll be a problem in the future. But I find it hard to believe, based on the tone of the questions and the outcry from liberal groups ranging from NARAL to the CBC in the House to marriage equality proponents. I mean, I don't know, frankly, I don't know who in the Democratic constituency would want this guy to sit on the judiciary. Surely there is a better nominee in Georgia than this guy. Now I know that we will hear from the right that we are somehow impinging upon Michael Bogg's First Amendment rights to hold these positions, and his First Amendment right to automatically be confirmed to a federal judiciary position that is ensconced, that right, of course, which is an enumerated right, ensconced in the brains of right-wingers who don't like when their bigotry or when their politics are criticized and where they pay the price of elections. They find there's a problem with the First Amendment. But it's not just limited, of course, to Michael Boggs.